All right, boys and girls, today we are going to be working on 5 NBT1 for our journal insert. Here is our math journal class. And when you get done inserting your math journal insert, it will look like this. Let's go back to it. We have 2 pages a day. This is the first page that we're going to glue down. This is the title up top, place value with decimals. And then the second page right here, adjacent place value with decimals. So these are the 2 that we have. Very simple, easy instructions. We're going to cut them out and then glue them down into our journal, and this is your ending product. Over the weekend, you will complete these 2 sheets for homework. And you know, Monday is Labor Day weekend, so we do not have school on Monday. So I will be checking for completion of these 2 sheets on Tuesday morning when you come to class. And you will also have a new learning map for Standard 5 NBT1. Now, the sheets you need to pull out are these 2 sheets right here. This is the very first one. You see on the side it says place value, and the number is 56,723 and 194 thousandths. The reason why this number is large because it's showing you that with this standard 5 NBT1, we are covering each one of these place values for a total of 8 place values. Now, this also leads into other standards with NBT1 because it's working with decimals. So 5 NBT1 is just making sure you're able to identify the place values of each digit when you have a decimal number. The second page we're going to be working with is this page right here. This is what it looks like. You see at the bottom left-hand corner, it has 5 NBT1. And we have a total of 4 flats that you will be working underneath. And you have to also complete this by Tuesday. And you have underlined digits as well. And I'm going to show you a little trick before you start cutting it out. Let me find my highlighter. Well, I'll just go ahead and use a color pencil. But the underlined digits, if I were you, I would go ahead and color that. Just so I can make sure that I identify the colored digit, the underlined digit. So when I'm completing my work, I know sometimes you guys may look over something like this. I'm going to give you just a heads up in advance. Just a little trick that I like to do to ensure that I know what the underlying digit is. To the right-hand side of this sheet, it is giving you a task to complete. So if I were you, I would not throw the directions on the right-hand side away. I will also cut that out, and as well as the other piece of paper. The directions say, cut the template, glue the narrow tab to your notebook, cut the inner lines to create 4 flaps. Under the flaps, compare the values of the 5s and the numbers. So we're going to be comparing the values of the 5s. So this is what your homework is going to be based off over the weekend. So on Tuesday, I'm going to be checking to make sure that you guys compare the value of the 5s in each one of the flaps, of the decimal numbers that we have. For the first page, your directions say, cut the template, glue the narrow tab to your notebook. Cut the inner lines to create 8 flaps. Under the flaps, write the digit in the place value written on each flap. Also, there's an also, write the value of that digit. Okay? So that's your homework for tonight. Now, I am not going to video record myself cutting this out because I'm pretty sure you guys got some directions. Once you cut it out, you're going to glue it down in your journal and it's going to look like this. Make sure you have this title written at the top, place value with decimals. I will be checking for that. Remember the page number will be a little different because some people have extra inserts in their journals than others. So ignore that. This is how my journal looks because the way I'm putting information in my journal. The standard is 5 NBT1. And then the title on the second page right here, adjacent place value with decimals, 5 NBT1. Again, do not pay attention to that standard. Now, what I am going to do is to cut out the homework, exactly what it's telling me to do with this flap. Just so I can have a nice little reference about what needs to be completed with this task. And then here's the one for the second page. Make sure you don't get them mixed up. Maybe cut one out and then glue it down, and then cut the other one out and glue it down as well. And this does not have to be perfect. Just make sure you cut your directions out. What I'm going to do is glue this to the other side of my page, and I'm just going to write the label above it. So this one was the place value with decimals and adjacent place value. So place value. Alright, move that to the side right here, and I'm going to quickly glue that down so then we can move on to what our assignment. My glue is being stubborn. Oh, it's too much. Don't do that, Miss Davis, and pour half the bottle onto the piece of paper. Just really don't need that much. And if you want, you can write the page number to the side or underneath each one of the directions. So the place value with decimals, for me, that is on page 31. And then the adjacent place values, that is on with decimals. This is on page 32 for me. Remember, this is for me. So this is my interactive notebook. Yours may be a little different. Now, so our homework said under the flaps, write the digit and the place value written on each flap. Also, write the value of that digit. So I'm going to do the first one for you as the example. I'm going to do one of the whole number digits. Then I'm going to do one of the digits behind the place value, which is a fraction of a whole number. So we have 10,000, thousands, hundreds, tens, ones, tenths, hundreds, thousands. In third and fourth grade, probably first grade as well, you learn, I know for sure, the ones, the tens, and in older grades you learn the hundreds, thousands, and 10,000s. In fifth grade, we are paying attention to the place value behind the decimal. Now notice the difference. Even though it says 10, at the end it has something different, a THS. The THS lets anyone know that this is a fraction of a whole number and it is located behind the decimal point. So what I'm doing now, just for my knowledge and to help me study, because your interactive journal is to help you study, I am just coloring over the THS because that definitely lets me know that I am working with a value that is a fraction of a whole behind the decimal point. Now up here, I'm going to choose one of the place values. I'm going to start with 10,000. Our homework told us to write the value of this number right here. So which digit is located in the 10,000s place? Well, here's my decimal point. I'm going to color over this with pink. I don't know why I grabbed the pink color pencil because that is not my favorite color. But it was the first color that came out. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see. I just color over the decimal point. Now remember, when you are reading a decimal, the decimal point, that is identified as saying the word and to show that that is a decimal point. So the decimal point is located between the ones and the tens place. Tenths place. This what separates the whole numbers from the fraction of a whole number. So what I am going to do is go ahead and put a decimal point and showing that it's located there. And then I'm going to write the word and next to it. Because that is what you say when you are reading the decimal. You say the word and when you're reading a decimal. And remember, the decimal point is located between the ones place value and the tenths. It's kind of like showing you, boom, everything behind the decimal point is a fraction of a whole number. Just think about money. When you have $2.13, the 2 is in the ones place, so I'm saying $2 and that's showing me that I'm about to leave from the whole numbers and I'm about to go into the fraction of the whole numbers. The 13, the 1 in 1300s is in the tenths place, and then the 3 in 1300s in the hundreds place. So 2 and 1300s, $2.13. Same thing, but I'm saying them a little differently, okay? So I'm going to write which digit falls in the 10,000s place. Well, if I turn this to the side, I'm looking at my number. This is in the ones, the tens, the hundreds, the thousands, the 10,000s. And then behind my decimal is the tenths, the hundreds, the thousands. So in the 10,000s place, I have the number 5. So what I'm going to do is to lift my flat back that says 10,000, and I'm going to write the number 5 because that is the number that's in that place value. Then I'm going to write the place value of it. By doing that, I'm going to take the number 5 and I'm going to multiply it by the place value that 5 is in. It's in the 10,000s place, so I'm going to multiply that 5 by 10,000. And that is what you should do for each one of these flaps. Now this is the whole number side. So now I'm going to fold this back and I'm going to go down. Let me go ahead and zoom out a little bit. I'm going to go down to the tenths place value. Now, which digit is in the tenths place value? Well, I know for sure that I said the decimal point separates the whole numbers and then the fractional numbers. So directly behind the decimal point, that digit is the one, number 1. So I'm going to write the number 1 behind or underneath that flap of tenths, and then I'm going to show the value of it by multiplying that 1 by the place value is in, which is 1/10. Now, what you can do is also, instead of writing it as a fraction, you can write it that 1/10 as a decimal point, which is like this, 1/10. And let me zoom in a little bit for you guys. As you can see right here, it's not as big, but this is a decimal point, 1/10. Same thing, this is written as a fraction, but this is written as a decimal point. It's the same thing, same value, it's just written in a different form. So that's what you have to do for homework and continue to fill them out under each flap. So you have 6 more to complete for homework. And I'm going to be checking to make sure that you wrote the number that's in that place value, and then you show me the value of that number as well underneath it. So if I multiply 5 by 10,000, that's going to be 50,000. Now let's move to the right-hand side, which is the adjacent place value sheet. And remember, I said that we have these numbers right here. I colored them on the other sheet, but not this one, so I'm going to grab a different color. I'm going to go ahead and color back the 5s one more time really quickly. And students and parents, just for a little tip, before I cut anything, before I cut these flaps, what I did was I glued this down as it was still a whole sheet of paper. So while it was still like this, I took this part, I flipped it over, and I only put glue on this side right here. So then when I glued it down, I then cut each of the strips. Because if you try to cut the strips and then glue it down, believe me, you're going to have a little struggle. Because I did it a long time ago, and I learned from that mistake. Never again. And then this 5 right here. And I realized, if you notice, that I only colored the number 5s in each one of these decimals. You have to compare the value of each of these 5s. So you can also refer to this chart right here to complete this form, this side of the worksheet as well. So we have the number 1078 and use a different. I don't want to use pink again. I'll use gray. I'm just going to color that green so I can see my decimal point. And then also I'm going to just like separate the decimal point, and I'm going to write the word and in it. So I know when I'm reading it, I remember to say and. And this is just this day was being a little extra. Hopefully my little being extra will help you guys to remember how to read decimals correctly. So all I did was just wrote the word and where I have each decimal point. I just wrote the word and to remind myself, say and when you're reading this decimal, okay? And remember, you can always pause this video if you need to cut something out or take some time to write anything down. You can always pause this video. So I'm going to compare the 5s. Now this place value of this 5, I see the decimal point, which is right here. This 5 is 1, 2 place values behind the decimal point. So here's my decimal point here. 1, 2 place values behind it. So that 5 is in the 100th place value. That's how I wrote it. So if this 5 is in the 100th place value, this 5 is not going to be in the same place value. It's in a different place value. And it looks like it's 1, 2, 3 place values behind our decimal point. For C, this 5 is directly behind the decimal point. And then this 5 right here is directly in front of the decimal point in D. Adjust that a little bit. This 5 is directly in front of the decimal point. So all I did was write the decimal point, or the place value of that 5. And you're going to write the place value of each of the 5s underneath it. Then you're going to compare. Well, with A and B, the A is in the tenths, hundredths, thousandths place value. So the value of the 5 in A is 10 times more than the value of the 5 in B. So I'm going to write that. The value of the 5 in A is 10 times more than the value of the 5 in B. So I just compared these two. I would like for you guys to only compare A and B to each other, and then you see I wrote to the side A and B only, and then I want you guys to compare C and D only. C and D only. And then for B, I'm going to go ahead and write And for B, we see that the value of this 5 is in the place value of the thousandths place value. So this is directly one place value behind the 5 in letter A. So this is actually 1/10 less than the value of the 5 in B. So the value So I said the value of the 5 in B is 1/10 less than the value of the 5 in A. This is very, very important. The 1/10 and the less, as well as the 10 times more. So please also do that as well. And I am looking for you to complete C and D for homework over the weekend, Labor Day weekend. And don't forget, over here to the left, you also need to complete the remaining 6 flats that we did not do in class. And you can use this as a study guide when you're completing other assignments in class with Davis Direct or Johnson's Direct on 5 NBT 1. All right, that is it for today, and I will see you guys on the next video.